Okay, well, Kufar, Akbar, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Cross and the Crescent discussions group. This is a live stream show dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Christianity and Islam. We're here every Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're normally here for about 2 hours, but we've been cutting it short the last couple of weeks, which is okay. We don't need to be here for the 2 full hours unless everybody's got everything to say. And the last couple of weeks, it's been kind of thin as far as the extra commentary I've kind of noticed. But I'm not going to say anything or mention anything about that because that might compel people to want to actually participate. I don't know. I wouldn't try guilting people out on that at all. So today our show is about how Allah teaches Muslims how to hate. And I know that's kind of a controversial thing to say. How dare you say that Allah would want people to hate other people? Well, it's not me saying it. I wouldn't make things up and disparage people like that. So what I have done is I've decided to do a little digging myself, and we actually showed this last week on the show, and I told them after I watched it, I go, you know what, that's going to be the theme of next week's show. And what we have discovered is that there is indeed a ruling or a fatwa or a passage in the Quran where they are commanded to hate people for the sake of Allah. Not me saying it. Listen to the gentleman in the video. Here we go.
I hate you for the sake of Allah. You hate me for the sake of Allah. I hate you for the sake of Allah.
All right.
I hate you for the sake of Allah. Every Christian, I hate you all for the sake of Allah. Any Jew, any Christian, I hate you all for the sake of Allah.
He hates me for the sake of Allah.
You hate these bastards and the other bastards.
Would you kill me if you get a chance?
If we're in war, I will chop your head off.
Allah guide you.
If we're fighting in war, am I supposed to let him kill me? I said, if we are.
No, let's ask this again. Do you hate me?
Yes, I hate you for the sake of Allah.
Who taught you to hate me?
Okay, so just so there's no misunderstanding here. The guy went back and he said, "Now wait a second. This is not true. This cannot be possible. Are you sure?" So he goes back and asks him a second time, "Are you sure that this is exactly what you are commanded to do?" And the guy says, "Yes, I'm commanded to hate you." But then he goes on to say that I will kill you. I will kill you, Jews and Christians. I will kill you for the sake of Allah if we are at war. Well, who has started these wars, these pretenses of war? For example, October 7th. Was it the Jews who started the war on October 7th? No. As a matter of fact, there was a ceasefire that was going along. Every ceasefire that Israel has had with the Hamasholes, it has been the Hamasholes who have broken the ceasefire, not the Jews, the Hamasholes. So when we start talking about having peace or starting a war, okay, well, now we can start a war, and therefore, since we started the war and we were at war, we have the authority to kill you because we're at war, even though we started it. You see how that all works out? All right. So let me go back here because there are some passages here in the Quran that I wanted to read. And if you ever want to find a wealth of information on passages such like this, you can go to the website thereligionofpeace.com. Thereligionofpeace.com. Thereligionofpeace.com is the website that provides a daily tracker of all of the terrorist attacks that have been conducted since 9/11 in the name of Islam. And I'm afraid that, well, I'm going to do it anyway. I did it. You can congratulate my bravery on that later. There have been a total of 44,855 terrorist attacks conducted in the name of Islam since 9/11. Deadly. That's deadly. Meaning somebody has to die since 9/11. How many have been committed by, let's say, Jews, Christians, right-wingers, And also, hold on, let me see if they've got it up yet. Yeah, exactly, Paul. None. Where they have the Ramadan Bombathon tomorrow. Tomorrow marks the first day of Ramadan. Oh joy! So I'm sure that tracker is going to go up, and just as soon, and you watch this. Mark my words. The amount of violence worldwide is going to go off the charts. It looks like Paul's nodding his head. Does anybody else agree with me on that?
It's going to go off the charts because Ramadan Bombathon, unfortunately, is a real thing.
And it can be tracked every year. Am I correct on this?
Yes, it can.
Yes.
Every year they track it.
Yeah.
The religionofpeace.com, they'll track it for you. If you look, they're usually a day behind because there's so much violence. But if you keep at
it's hard to keep track of all of that, right?
Yeah.
But, yes, it is.
Yeah, they'll report it for you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that is a truism of the religion of peace. Okay, so back to this hate thing. If you go to the religion of peace, they have a category here. Let me see what category this falls under. At the top of the tab, it has the Quran. And is the Quran hate propaganda? And if you go about, let's see, about halfway down, was I? Yes, I was about halfway down. And it talks about how the Quran dehumanizes non-Muslims and says that they are vile animals. And of course, this comes straight from 98.6, but that's not what I was looking at. What was I looking at? The Quran distinguishes relative worth. Here we go.
Hate propaganda. Is the Quran hate propaganda you're looking at?
Yeah, but I'm down further. It says the Quran says that Allah does not love unbelievers. Now, if somebody could go out there and Google the passages in the Bible where it talks about how God loves people, and pin that in the chat, I'd appreciate that. And just so we can just kind of do a juxtaposition between the difference between the Quran, what their Allah of the Quran says versus the God of the Bible. And the reason why I make the distinction, because there is a distinction. The God of the Quran is not the same God of the Bible. It's obvious. Just a cursory reading between the two texts will tell a sane, literate human being that fact. Okay. War is deceit. What is got people popping stuff up there? Look at who it is there. Paul, it's your favorite buddy. Hate in Islam, God killed innocent Jesus in barbaric way on the cross, and the love of wait a second.
Oh, the Filipino dancer's got to dance around the topic.
Hold on. Wait a second. He said God killed Jesus in a barbaric way.
So he's saying Jesus died on the cross, and he's denying the Quran.
Right. That's the kind of the point I'm making. Jesus died on the cross. Is that right, Aladdin?
So Aladdin no longer trusts his Quran.
He's not a Muslim anymore. He's not a Muslim. Yeah. Is he a Christian?
He's an apostate.
He's
an apostate.
I wouldn't call him an apostate because I'm not looking to cut off anybody's head. But if he's a Christian convert, well, welcome, brother. I'm glad to see that you are finally accepting the truth.
Well, he's kind of can't be a Christian convert if he's saying God hates him. So I'm still giving him the foolishness and the slowness of being not cognitively able to debate.
How you fear! I love how you fear Islam. I pity Muslims. I really do.
I have a question.
What? How can you have a question already? We haven't even said anything yet.
I had a question about the Ramadan Bombathon. From my understanding in Islamic thought, you can't. Ramadan's supposed to be a holy month that you're not
sacred month.
To, no, sacred month. You're not supposed to kill or bomb. So, I just have a question.
That got negated by the Quran in chapter 9. Then they negate the months. That passage was
doesn't it say
Surah 9:5? Surah 9:5
during the sacred months. Hold on, let's pull that up. where would I have that? I would have that right here. I would have it under the Quran. I would have it. No, that's the wrong.
I'll
Quran.
pull it up. You want
Quran corpus 9:5? You said.
Yeah, 9:5.
9. No, that's cinco. Here we go. It says, and when the sacred months have passed.
Oh, sorry, 9:29.
Oh no, 9:29 is the.
Let me double check it.
Make them feel subdued. Make them pay the jizya.
Yeah, what happened there?
Fight those who do not believe in all the last days, who do not consider. Yeah. But that's not. That doesn't say that they can fight during. It doesn't say anything about the sacred months.
But it negates the sacred months requirement. One of those does, and I can't remember if it's 9:29 or.
Well, 9:5 says when the. I got to sneeze. It says when the sacred months have passed. Let me pull this back up. Let me put this over here so people don't think that I'm making it up as I go, because I get accused of that every now and then. You're just making it up.
Yep, I'll pull it up.
Okay. Come on.
Here you go.
Present. There we go. All right. Never mind. Here we go.
I've got it. Engage in war with those who do not believe in Allah, nor in the last day, nor forbid what Allah and his messenger forbid, nor believe in the religion of the truth among those who have been given the book until they pay the jizya. There's no requirement. So this abrogates Surah 9:5 and says, okay, kill them. You don't have to wait for those months. So you get double blessings for killing people during Ramadan.
And where is that found? Because I've heard that myself. I've heard that before.
And
sorry for putting you on the spot.
The Ramadan. If you read about Ramadan in the I have to pull out my Sharia. If you read Sharia, you learn there's double blessings for committing acts of violence against non-Muslims. So you get double blessings, and this happens. You can find it in Sharia. I'll look for it. And
okay.
We just covered this a little while ago with Usama. So I think we just started covering that.
I just wanted to point this out. Okay, so here's what Moshe Khan. I think Moshe Khan. I always like reading the Moshe Khan translation. Then when the sacred months, the 1st, 7th, 11th, and 12th months of the Islamic calendar have passed, then kill the mushrikeen, which is Christian, wherever you find them, and capture them and besiege them and prepare them every ambush. But if they repent and perform salat and give zakat, let them away. Verily, Allah is most forgiving and merciful. Huh. Who knew? All right, let's go over to this other one here. Let me do this because what I want to do is I want to read some of the verses where it says where Allah does not love, where Allah does not. And it says right here in chapter 30, verse 45, he says he does not love the unbelievers. In 3:32, say, O Allah and his messenger, but if they turn back, Allah loveth not those who reject faith. Chapter 22, verse 38, it says, surely Allah does not love anyone who is unfaithful and ungrateful. And we're all just eternally grateful in everything we do, aren't we, guys? Yeah, so Allah's not going to love me. 16:9, it says that Allah is the direction of the way, and some roads go not straight, and he had willed who he would have led you. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know why they have that in there. Okay, 17:64, and lead to destruction those whom you can with your seductive voice. For Allah does not love, there will be the most terrible of eternal torments. 4:56, those who reject our signs, we shall cast into the fire. As often as their skins are roasted through, we shall change them for fresh skins. Oh, this is where Allah is going to burn you in the fire. And then, did we get somebody added here? And then, maybe we lost somebody. Where'd Red go? That was it. Red's gone. Since he throws you in the fire, he's going to turn around and have you regrow its skin so he can burn that one off too. What a god that is. So the bottom line is when this guy starts talking about saying that Allah teaches you to hate, the guy is speaking the truth, because Allah does not love anybody that does not love him. And when you look at, if you were thinking of somebody, or if you were thinking of a God that would be developed by a 7th century pedophile, a 7th century scumbag, a 7th century warlord, a 7th century genocidal, murdering, ethnic cleansing piece of garbage, this is what you would get. These are the type of verses that you would expect.
Yeah, I stepped away, but Allah doesn't even love sinners, so he doesn't like any human.
Exactly.
We're all sinners.
Everybody, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. That's according to Paul, though. Now, hold on a second. Hold on. Paul didn't know what he was talking about, because there have been people who have not sinned. Everybody has sinned. So even when you look at Paul, except Jesus Christ, of course, Paul was telling the truth and saying everybody has sinned. So if everybody has sinned, Allah does not love you. And
right.
I don't know what anybody could ever do for you.
But Muslims tend to think they are sinless, so therefore they're loved by Allah.
No, they don't say they're sinless, because the acts of jihad wipe away their sin. If paying zakat wipes away their sin. They have little acts that they do to get rid of their sin. Prayer, the act of praying and paying zakat, not the act of individual doing one or the other. You have to do both, and that gets rid of your sin. That's in the Quran.
I stand correct.
Here's a fun fact. According to the Quran and Islamic doctrine, if mankind did not sin, Allah would destroy them and replace them with another group of people who did sin.
Yes.
So Allah wants you to sin.
So he can hate you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say something about Twitter, and I just kind of I can't remember. I think I've been posting on Twitter a lot. I've been like writing a common narrative about Muhammad and posting it in all these Palestinian pro-Palestinian websites, and I've been getting a lot of people responding, which is kind of interesting. Let me see if I got notifications if anybody responded to me today. Oh yeah, he says I'm a Nazi. Yeah, very good. And what was the other one? Somebody called me a F-wit, but they spelled out the word F. The love of Allah is in him. Okay, so here's another gentleman that I have subscribed to his channel on YouTube, and he spends a lot of time at Speaker's Corner. And the thing is that this guy is Jewish. He's not a Christian like Bob the Builder. The last one was from Bob the Builder's channel, and a guy that is affiliated with Bob at Speaker's Corner. This guy is a Zionist Jew.
Is this Joseph Cohen?
I don't know what his name is.
Is he bald?
Or
shaved head?
I don't know. I haven't really.
Big red beard. Yeah, it's probably
He's got a red beard. Well, I'm going to put him up here, so you tell me, Issa. You probably know better than I do.
Yeah, I've spoken with Joseph Cohen. If it's him.
No, here we are. Here it is. This guy right here. Is this him?
That's Joseph Cohen. Yeah, see, he has like a shaved head and a big.
What's his name?
Joseph Cohen.
Joseph Cohen. Okay. Because I've never seen his name. I just see him get in there and mix it up with these guys, and the guy has got a lot of guts to do what he does. So listen to what he does here.
This scrubber is
we gotta get
tools. If you still clean anything by hand, you need to hear this. An AI
Oh my gosh.
This scrubber is the Tesla of cleaning tools. If you still clean anything by hand, you need to hear this. An AI
Now notice Ali Dawa in all of this. And look how aggressive he is. If he pulled what he did to this poor guy.
Yesterday I was attacked by a mob of anti-Semites. They spat on me, kicked me, pushed me, and tried to beat me with sticks.
Am I with you with this?
The violence was instigated by Ali Dawa, who incited the mob to attack.
I'm never gonna live. The killings you can do.
Right there.
I'm gonna do anything. It's a bait.
Not a religious person.
You Zionist scum. That's what you are. You Zionist scum. Hey! Stay in Israel. Stay in Israel. Ali, get out. Stay in Israel. Stay in Israel. Stay in Israel. Stay in Israel, bro. Stay in Israel, bro. I'm Israel. Hi. I'm Israel. I'm Israel. This is why we need a country. All they're proving is why we need a country. Imagine living under these people.
Yeah, that's he said. I mean, that hits the nail right on the head. Imagine having to live under the rule of people like that. Imagine having to subject yourself to their sense of fairness, to their sense of what is right and wrong, and what you can and cannot say. That world would be a very ugly world. So when we start talking about hate-filled, teaching your followers to hate others, to shut that down, I mean, it's just the opposite of what the gospel is, the gospel that they purport to support. Okay.
Can I share something? Just to let you know how the timing of, and we're talking about Ramadan, I just want to share what the wonderful Nihad Awad said. This is an agent of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, otherwise known as Hamas in America. He was speaking in Dearborn on February 25th, and he said this. Well, he had to know Ramadan was coming up, right? He
are you
said,
sharing your screen, or are you just reading it?
I can. I'm just reading it. This is kind of a slight rewrite from mine. Again, this was ahead of the Democratic. No, it's not him. Okay, maybe I got the wrong piece. Hold on. No, this is the next one. It's not Nihad Awad. It's it's Jasser Ouda. I'm sorry, Jasser Ouda. Memory reports that against the backdrop of the war in Gaza, Jasser Ouda, a member of the International Institute of Islamic Thought, a founder and board member of International Union of Muslim Scholars, funded by Qatar and Turkey, and a member of the Fiqh Council of North America and the European Council for Fatwa and Research, published an article calling for Muslims to wage jihad in order to aid Palestinians in their war against Israel. In the article titled Six Picket Borders Have No Legal Status in the Religious Laws of Jihad, Ouda stresses that the religious duty of jihad, which is explicitly set out in the Quran, is a collective duty. That means if it's adequately performed by a sufficient number of Muslims, other Muslims are exempt from taking part in it. However, if it's not adequately performed, it becomes a religious duty incumbent upon every individual Muslim, especially upon those who are geographically close to the area of fighting and who are mentally and financially able to engage in it. Now, he's talking about October 7th. He's saying that wasn't enough. And he's telling people, go take part in that jihad. So think about that. And this is these are all Muslim Brotherhood organizations that I have mentioned.
But this is Nihad Awad.
No, this was actually Jasser Ouda. I'm sorry, I made that mistake.
Oh, okay. But okay, and who is this guy affiliated with again?
Jasser Ouda is affiliated with Muslim Brotherhood, which is the International Institute of Islamic Thought, which is the International Union of Muslim Scholars, the Fiqh Council of North America, the European Council of Fatwa Research. Again, these are all Muslim Brotherhood creeds. And guess what? Hamas is a part of the Muslim Brotherhood. So he's the first guy I actually read on Sharia.
Yes, this is just one giant tangled web of hate-filled organizations dedicated to the destruction of the Jewish state.
Of everything, of all Jewish and Christian and anything that's not Muslim.
Hamas, or not Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood is what you're talking
Muslim Brotherhood, anything.
Right, yeah.
This is Islam. Islam as a whole is dedicated to the death of everything that's not Muslim.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Okay, so let's bring this guy up. Here is when sometimes Muslims, when they don't think anybody is listening, they forget that the Israeli Defense Forces and Israeli intelligence have a pretty extensive and expansive network of being able to intercept signals intelligence or signals. And here they recorded a conversation, a telephone conversation from two individuals on October 7th. And it talks about how they were calling the female prisoner a sex slave. So let me go ahead and play this one for you. Here we go.
A call.
I'm going to restart that.
We are declassifying a call that we intercepted, made by Yusuf Zidan.
Okay, by declassifying, this is what he's doing is he's exposing by they think of this as important enough to put out there. They're exposing the reach of Israeli signals intelligence, being able to collect information via the airwaves. So they're showing how deep or how wide that net is that they have by picking this up and being able to sift through it.
Suleiman Khawajra, a Hamas terrorist who
Hold on, I'm sorry, I forgot to put this back up there.
Took part in the massacre of October 7th. But he is not just a Hamas terrorist. He is also an UNRWA employee working as a teacher in a U.
Okay, so these are the words of a teacher, somebody who teaches school for the United Nations, an organization of the United Nations, teaches little Palestinian children in a classroom. Now, I'm wondering if a certain set of trolls who use their troll sets will be protesting or notifying UNRWA about firing this teacher himself. I kind of doubt it because they're a bunch of hypocrites. That's why.
UN elementary school in Gaza. The terrorist is heard speaking on the phone roughly 7 hours after Hamas began invading Israel, murdering, mutilating, massacring, kidnapping, raping, and burning entire families alive.
سلامات وين يا اخوان وين انت؟ وين السبايا والدنيا ودين عنا خليك نايم. انت مش عارف نام في الدار شارد انت اسكت احنا عند السبايا هنا مسك واحد. ايه؟ لقيت شيء؟ جبنا فرس يا حاج. ايش جبت؟ خيل فرس. جاب حصان؟ صار اصلا اصيل مش حصان كديش تبع القرعان. انت مين انت مين؟ ايه كيف سموه؟
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like our videos and hit the bell icon.
Okay, so
to
as
stay
you can
updated
see
with the latest.
here from the conversations that were going on there, how flippant these guys are about the women that they had captured. And there was one that I thought this was it, but it wasn't. I apologize for this, but there's one where they're very explicit on describing. They put up the subtitles there for you to read, but I think they were up there a little too fast. But they were very explicit about how they were referring to these women. And that word sabaya that they were using, it indicates a slave. And a slave to do what? Are they slaves going to come down there and sweep the floors in their tunnels or cook their food? No. We know exactly what they were referring to. And when you think about these young women being captured by these savages and how they're being treated today, it just makes your blood boil. You know, if this was your daughter, my daughter, anybody's, if this was, you know, somebody that you were associated with, it would definitely affect you. And this is what these guys are doing. One thing that I did notice that they said that they found all kinds of UN aid, and one of the things that you find on Twitter all over the place is that the Palestinians are starving to death. And I ran into an article here. Hold on, where did it go? I thought I had it. Most prevent civilian casualties. No. Well, there was an article where it talks about how Hamas is taking, they're getting a hold of the UNRWA aid that's being shipped in, and then it's being sold on the streets of Gaza for a profit. So they're taking the aid that is supposed to be entitled to be given to the Gazanian people, and Hamas is taking control of it and then selling it to them to make a profit themselves. And they want us to feel sorry for these people. And I tell you what, you know, when you sit there and you look at some of these pictures, some of these videos of these people, and the suffering that they're going through, you would not be a human being if it did not bother you, if it did not cause you to feel empathy for those people. But going forward, the way to stop this suffering and to prevent it from happening again is not calling for a ceasefire. It's not calling on Israel to stop what they're doing. The way forward and to stop this is for the Hamasholes to release the hostages, release them now unconditionally, and those who took part in the October 7th attacks surrender. That is the easiest and quickest way to stop all of this. But yet they're too big of cowards to do this. They're too big of I mean, the bottom line is that these guys have no courage, an ounce of courage in their bones. You keep seeing all these people praising them. As a matter of fact, I have here is a lady right here talking about how noble these fighters are. Let me pull this up here and you can see for yourself. Yep, here we are. Here we go.
We can have different views about Hamas as a political party. We can have different views about armed resistance. But I think it is more honest and historically correct to say that the uprising of October 7th was an act of armed resistance.
Okay. And this is supposed to be a philosopher, American philosopher, stresses the military occupation was an act of resistance. No, you cannot have differences on that. If you do have differences on that, whether you consider that an act of resistance,
Eric, can I ask you a question?
What?
So, have you ever heard of a military being taught defense where they go and rape women when they're doing defense? or resisting?
70 years ago, yes. They were not taught. Militaries were not taught. However, the soldiers were not disciplined enough, and their leaders did not take the actions necessary to prevent that from happening. For example, when the Red Army ran into Germany, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 3 out of 4 German women were raped during the time of the Soviet occupation, within just a couple of years after the war, between the time of the invasion of the Russians to the time that the war, by the time that.
How about resistance? How about soldiers being taught in the use of resistance to kill children?
No. Of course not. None of this is taught to real soldiers. The only people that implement and apply that today are thugs, people who have no moral cause, no morality.
Thank you.
Whatsoever. Right. Yeah. 70 years ago, when the Soviet army did this, this was something that happened all the time. When you look at, and also when you look at what is going on in places like Nigeria today, this is what Boko Haram is doing to a lot of those Christian villages. They're going in there and they're raping and pillaging and murdering innocent civilians. And when we talk about raping, they use rape. Why? As a means of warfare. Why? Well, it's following the Sunnah of Muhammad. Muhammad did it. He allowed his soldiers to do it. So what's the big deal of doing it today if it was allowed at the time of Muhammad? And he said, I mean, isn't there like a hadith where he talks about the men saying, well, you know, we have these women we've captured and their husbands are still alive. You know, is it okay if we rape them, even though that their husbands are alive? And the hadith says, Muhammad says that, of course, you know, they're because they are the spoils of war, what your right hand possesses now, their marriages are annulled, and it's perfectly plausible, perfectly what's the word I'm looking for? Acceptable for you to rape these women. It's sick, is what it is. And to think that what they did on that day is any form of resistance is absolute. You've lost your moral compass. You've lost your sense of humanity and a sense of morality, because now what you're saying is that the ends do justify the means, regardless of what the means are, and that's simply not true. You cannot say, okay, we want a free Palestine, so what we're going to do is we are going to take children and we're going to burn them alive until the Jews finally accept a Palestinian state. No, there's no morality in that. There's no moral cause or no moral justification within that in of itself. And this lady is a piece of garbage. I don't know where does she work someplace? We can have different views. No, we cannot have different views on when it comes to that. Raping, murdering innocent women and children.
I think she's the head, Eric. I think she's the head of philosophy of some posh university like Harvard or something like that.
That would be consistent with what is happening on a lot of our universities, especially the Ivy League type campuses today. Is this anti-Semitic type rhetoric that is preached and accepted all over the place.
Jewish Voice for Peace is not Jewish, though. That's important to understand. Jewish has to do with your faith structure. These people don't consider themselves religiously Jews.
Which one of those?
The JVP, the group that you're talking about, the Jewish.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they're not Jews.
There was a interview. Where did I hear this? There was an interview. David Wood was interviewing a gentleman that is a Messianic Jew, and he lives in Israel. And they consider this idea that Judaism as a religion you're identified as a Jew if it is your religion, is like a recent construct, historical construct, meaning it's only come around in the last 100, 200 years. Whereas before, being Jewish was always something that was driven by ethnicity. You're belonging to this tribe of people. And so when
I submit they need to read the Old Testament.
Well, I would agree. But when you start saying that, you know, Jews are separate, I mean, this is what Hitler did. He distinguished them. It doesn't matter, you know, if you practice Judaism or not, or you believe in God or not. I think 3 of your 4 grandparents, if they were Jewish, or one of your grandparents was Jewish, you were considered a Jew because you had that blood tie to the faith itself. There's a gentleman that let me see. He's called travelingisrael.com. He has a YouTube channel, and his job. I really like it. I mean, his job is he's a tour guide in Israel, and he's got kind of a thick accent, but he does a really good job of bringing a lot of these contemporary issues to light. And this was a video of his. I'm not going to play the whole 15-minute thing here, but what he does is he plays a lot of clips of Arabs and Palestinians being interviewed about things well, here, just watch. Let me show you. When we start talking about hating and that goes along with it, this does a good job of illustrating it.
أنت حتى أبناء على الجهاد في سبيل الله أسماء مالينا والذي أليست هو جهاد أليست هو شهادة إذا كان الموت حق فعار علينا إلا أن نموت شهداء.
رياض الأطفال تابعة لأخواتنا في حركة المقاومة الإسلامية حماس، فعندما نجد إنه الأطفال منذ الصغر يتربين على هذه الثقافة. الله غايتنا في سبيل الله، فتنمى عند الأطفال منذ الطفولة حب الجهاد.
Okay, notice what she's saying there. From infancy, children are nurtured to love jihad.
وحب لقاء الله وحب مقارعة الأعداء، كل هذا منذ الطفولة.
ثم أنا الشهادة وسام شرف لأهل الشهيد في الدنيا غير مقامه في الآخرة، نعتبرها إحنا وسام شرف لأهله في الدنيا.
وأنا الحمد لله والله أولادي وكلهم لو كلهم يستشهدوا في سبيل الله أنا بكون مبسوط. يعني أنا الحمد لله هذا الطريق بحبه. ينجبون أعدادا كبيرة من البنات والبنين. كان الرد جميل. الرد جميل. نحن ننجب هؤلاء بكثرة لندفعهم حتى
Are you guys catching this? Or is it just me that finds all of this completely disgusting?
I find it sick.
Oh my gosh.
Sick.
Okay, he goes on here. Let me bring this up here. It's crazy.
That you don't believe in God. And in fact, the majority of Western Europe is secular. In Europe, you don't have Protestant yelling Jesus is great while blowing up Catholic churches.
وقد أخبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن شهيد أهل الكتاب، الشهيد اللي يقتل على أيدي أهل الكتاب، شهيد بشهيدين، يعني له أجر شهيدين، بعكس الذي يقتل في أي معركة من معارك الكفار.
نعم.
أهل الكتاب واليهود وهم اليهود.
فأي طعم أزكى من الشهادة؟ أي خاتمة أجمل من الموت في سبيل الله؟ اللهم عليك بيهود، اللهم عليك بيهود، شل أركانهم ودمر كيانهم ومزق أمرهم واجعل بأسهم شديدا. اللهم مكننا من رقاب يهود، اللهم مكننا من رقاب يهود، اللهم مكننا من رقاب يهود. اللهم عليك بالكفار والملاحدة والمشركين، أحصهم عددا واقتلهم بددا ولا تغادر منهم أحدا.
بدي أحلف يمين على الهواء مباشرة الآن إنه لن يبقى يهودي واحد على هذه الأرض، إنه لن نبقي يهودي على أرضنا الإسلامية مطلقا، لا صغير ولا كبير، لا مستوطن لا جندي لا شرقي ولا غربي، لن يبقى يهودي على أرض الإسلام والمسلمين. وهذا
Okay, so does this sound like a two-state solution to you?
Absolutely not.
No, we will not leave a single Jew, not a child, not anyone left on this land. If you really want to see how they feel about the Jews, about Israel, it has nothing to do with land, and it has everything to do with the Jewish people, Jews living in that land. More to come.
قسم مش انا بقسمه عن حالي، هذا بقسمه عن الشعب الفلسطيني كله، وعن الامه العربيه والاسلاميه كلها، وعن امتنا اللي بتمتد من الشرق الى الغرب. واذا العدو مش فاهم هذه المعادله بيكون غبي، هو اصلا غبي.
انه ينبغي ان نعتقد عقيدتك في اليهود ان القتال معهم دائم.
So how long is their fighting with Jews? Eternal, he says.
ولن ينتهي حتى القتال الاخير. ودي الرابعه في عقيدتك في اليهود انهم سنقاتلهم وسنهزمهم وسنستأصل شأفتهم فلا يعود على ظهر الأرض يهودي واحد.
Well, that's pretty explicit. Not even in Israel, but every Jew on the earth needs to be killed.
ليس لأنني أقول ذلك بل هي البشارة.
So it isn't him saying this. He's saying that Muhammad himself said
تقوم الساعة حتى تقاتلوا اليهود.
Understanding.
Okay, so you can see all of these different people coming in, and what they're doing is they're saying it in their own words. Nobody is trying to put a spin on what they're saying or what they're meaning. They're being busted with their own words. Here's some more. Let's go to this.
سيسلم. لا يوجد بديل للغرب غير الدين الإسلامي. لا يوجد
أبدا. لا يوجد بديل.
لا يوجد بديل ديني للغرب إلا الإسلام.
ليه؟
Okay, so you have no alternative. I.e., if you want to practice Christianity, if you want to practice Judaism, if you want to practice Buddhism, even if you want to be an atheist, you have no alternative. Uh-oh. Okay, so their goal is not just to liberate Palestine. And this is where Israel is saying, look, you think that this is going to be just limited to us? Do you think if we lose here that it's just going to be us and it's going to stop? Nope.
والله لو أخرجنا اليهود من فلسطين، لو أخرجناهم من فلسطين وأخرجناهم من بيت المقدس دون أن يسلموا ولو ذهبوا آخر العالم سنلاحقهم وسندعوهم إلى الإسلام وندعو هوش الإسلام وندعو جميع النصارى للإسلام.
So what do you do? Okay, so and here's the hubris of these people. If you were sitting here saying, I'm going to chase a Jew in Jerusalem and then also Christians and force them to come, what are you doing in a room talking to a camera then? Why aren't you out? If this is what you truly believe, big man, and that this is what your conviction is, why are you sitting here talking about it? Why aren't you doing something? This is where this is the cowardice of these people.
نعم ديننا دين الرحمة.
As you can imagine, this kind of.
Okay, there's more here. I don't want to steal this guy's thunder, but he goes in depth here with the children too. Let me bring this up here. And we've seen this stuff before.
كنا نسأل هتلر لما ترك البعض منكم كي يرينا كما أنتم خبيثون من تحت الأرض نخرج إليكم ندق الرعب في قلوبكم ومن فوق الأرض بصواريخنا نقطعكم أشلاء.
كلهم لازم يهجموا على اليهود ما يخلوش ولا يهود في فلسطين.
عمليات الدعس عمليات الطعن والاشتباك المسلح في المخيمات.
إيش أكيد هدول العمليات ترفع الرأس ولفلسطين.
Look what he's saying. These missions of running over Jews and stabbing them brings honor. Killing Jews brings honor to Palestine. This is what UNRWA these UNRWA schools are teaching these kids.
العمليات هاي تحت الداعش والسكاكين هاي إشي بيرفع الراس لفلسطين.
What is?
Okay, I don't know if I have any more on that video here. Let me look. Oh, wait, they do have some more. Here we go. Sorry.
لا في القدس. لا في القدس.
أن ينتهي وين؟ لقطاع غزة؟
لا بتكلم عن كل أراضي فلسطين.
كل الأراضي الفلسطينية يعني وين إسرائيل؟
طبعا وجود إسرائيل غير منطقي، لذلك ما حدا يلومنا احنا اللي بنعمله. في 7 أكتوبر، في 10 أكتوبر، في مليون أكتوبر، احنا اللي بنعمله مبرر. It is justified.
Okay, he sounds like he's caught in a barrel. But the bottom line is it's all over their media, and our own media outlets are negligent. They're responsive. They are they are duplicit in all of this. When you do not report what is being said by the leadership of the Palestinians, when you do not report what the common people are saying about the Jews, when you do not report what they are teaching their children about the Jews, and they're saying it publicly, then you are complicit in the murder of the Jews. And you are complicit, and I would also add, you are complicit in the suffering of the people in Gaza. And the reason why is because they feel that they can continue to shoot rockets into Israel. They can continue to shoot at the IDF. They can continue to hold hostages, which once all that stops, all of the suffering in Gaza stops, all of it. The problem is that the hatred that they have in their hearts for the people of Israel, and they have for the Jews. And it isn't, and as you saw, it just doesn't allude to the Jews, but it also alludes to Christians themselves. Okay, anybody have anything they want to say about that? Anything else? Or have I bored everybody to death already?
Well, I've always thought that the reason why they keep training the young ones to do the fighting and to die is because, number one, you were right. The older ones, they become more cowardly, and they're hoping the young ones will die and name them as one of the 70 that also get onto that fast track to heaven, or, Allah's heaven. I think it's hell myself, but that's why they have all these kids and they brainwash them to do what they do.
Well, they're more impressionable.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's easier to recruit them into having and notice what they appeal to. They appeal to the lasciviousness of it, of the type of sex that's good. They're going to be you're going to be rewarded with sex. Really? I mean, how debased is that?
Some of those kids don't really. I mean, at certain ages, I don't know if they even know what that's about, unless they've been abused themselves. But and that's very likely in that society. But they don't know what death is really. To go and kill yourself and to kill somebody else. They don't, they're a kid.
Right.
Oh, well, that's my comment.
No, but when you're brought up, well, it's a great point, because when you're brought up in that society and that's all you talk about and that's what you're taught from you can actually speak and understand. This is something that you're brainwashed, and so when it says, "Hey, it's your time to go," you're like, "Oh, okay, let's go." And then, like you said, the older people are preying on that ignorance and that lack of world experience that they would have that they should have, or the level of discernment to reject that type of thinking. But like I said, this is a death cult. I said this last week. It is a death cult.
Now hold on. That shit.
It's true Islamophobia at its finest. It's true Islamophobia at its finest.
Yeah. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
So I think
I would choose the cow.
Yeah.
I think the thing that we have to build up to this, you're talking about hatred, is they are taught to hate each other because they're not Islamic enough. So before they even get to the hatred of the Jews, they hate each other because they're not Islamic enough. Sahih Bukhari 52-260. Ali burnt some people, and this news reached Ibn Abbas, who said, had I been in his place, I would not have burnt them. As the Prophet said, don't punish anybody without his punishment. No doubt I would have killed them. For the Prophet said, if somebody, a Muslim, discards his religion, kill him. There's the numerous hadiths about killing apostates. And if it's okay with them to kill their own because they're not Islamic enough, that is pretty powerful. I mean, there's Sharia on it, there's hadiths on it, there's Quran on this. If they're willing to kill those who leave their faith, how much more willing are they to kill those not of the faith?
And one of I guess the most impressionable videos that I saw from ISIS was they were filming some of their fighters, and they were asking them, why are you doing this? Why are you fighting, and who are you fighting? And the most vitriol that they had, the most hatred, and you could see it and hear it, that they, to the point that they were crying. They were so emotional about it, wanting to kill people, is they wanted to kill the Shia, not you and I, not apostates, not kuffar. They wanted to kill Shia.
Yeah, that would be apostates to them.
Okay, well, okay, fair enough. But you could see the emotion in that. I mean, like I said, to the point that the guy had so much, he was crying. He hated these people, the Shiites, so badly. These followers of Ali, or what, I can't remember what he said something about Ali.
They teach that even in the Sharia, it teaches us that the Ridda, taking part in the Ridda war, is more important than taking part in jihad. Was really? The apostasy war? Yes.
I didn't realize that. Well, and then that probably explains his attitude towards us. Okay, I wanted to show an article here. Let me see here. Excuse me. Present. Stop screen. Present. Share screen. This is a good idea. I think this is a good idea. This is from Jihad Watch, but it's about renaming or using the official name of Judea and Samaria and not the West Bank. So instead of referring to that region from Jordan to Jerusalem, instead of referring it to the West Bank, because if people understand the history behind it, Jordan just occupied that land. After it was